Praise the Lord. Here we are again. News and Views, Wednesday night. Like always, so glad you tuned in. You know, tonight's program is entitled Islamic Irony. And what is that about? You know, some of our viewers don't speak English very well. But what is an irony? An irony is when something should seem a certain way based on beliefs or commonly held perceptions, and yet we find that in reality it's exactly what it's not supposed to be. We call it an irony. And that's exactly what Islam is here in the United States of America, isn't it, Brother Hamoudi?
Yes, it is.
I tell you what, you know, if you listen to American and Western Muslims, you hear one story, but at the very same time, Muslims in the Middle East, Muslims in Pakistan and in other places throughout the world are undeterred in basically saying that we're all infidels, and kafirs and mushrikeen, and deserve to be killed, slayed wherever we're found. And we thank Bill Gates for those audio effects. And that we should go to hell and burn there, you know. But in America, oh no! Islam is a peaceful religion. Islam is a wonderful religion. Islam is the religion of peace. It has nothing to do with terror whatsoever. And yet, time and time again, we find that terrorist attack after terrorist attack, all sorts of violence, killing, murder, perversion in the name of Islam. Now, people say, well, there's all sorts of people around the world who commit crimes, but we're talking about specific types of crimes, and even more importantly, in the name of religion. You don't find Christians going around and raping young girls and saying, oh, Jesus taught me to do this because that's what he did. On the other hand, you find Muslim clerics and leaders in this world going around and basically marrying 3-year-olds. There's one in Pakistan just the other day, 3-year-old, marrying a 3-year-old and a 9-year-old and saying, well, after all, that's Muhammad did the same thing. He married a 6-year-old. What's the problem? And using the religion to justify. And that's what we have right here with the many articles that we always share at News and Views. Tonight, we've got many articles that are going to point out the severe and extreme irony of Islam as it presents itself in the West. Let's start out with returning to the unfortunate event, the Flight 253 jihadist on Christmas Day, the failed and foiled attempt of Muslim murderers to try to kill Americans on the very day that we celebrate life, the gift of life, the greatest gift of all, the gift of Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, from God the Father to humanity. You know, it's significant to me, Brother Hamoudi, that they would choose that day. You know, of all days to choose, they chose the day that Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus. You know, Brother Hamoudi, I'm sure you've heard it many times, Muslims always saying, oh, we love Jesus. He's a prophet. We honor him. We believe in Jesus. Yeah, and we're going to kill people on his day. Well, that's not the way we believe in Jesus, Muslims. Let's see. What does it say here? Flight 250 jihadist, not religious when he arrived in Yemen. An act of an isolated extremist while he plays golf in Hawaii. You know, the thing of it is, he and his administration have had to backpedal significantly once they found out that he's part of a network that extends not only in England, but Nigeria, but even to Yemen, where now the American government is starting to do military activities against known terrorist cells, somewhat in response to what's been taking place. Here's the irony. Muslims tell us, Muslims in America, hear it all the time, oh, these are not Muslims. No true Muslim would do this. Just like CAIR, Council of American Islamic Relations in America, the unindicted co-conspirator of Hamas and Hezbollah. With God's help, they will be exposed for who they are, liars and deceivers trying to overthrow the United States government and install Sharia, even as their head said some 15 years ago. We have his quote. We'll have to share that sometime. He denies that he ever said it now. But when he said it, it was before September 11th. He says, Islam is not in America to be equal to any religion, but to become dominant. You heard that?
Yes.
Omar Ahmed, I believe, was his name, the head of CARE at the time, before it was a big deal. Islam should be the supreme religion. This is a paraphrase. And Sharia should be the supreme law of the land. And now they deny that they ever said anything like that. Well, they keep telling us that it's true Muslims would not do this. But look at this article. Flight 253 jihadist, not religious when he arrived in Yemen, but grew more committed to praying and Islam. What does the West constantly tell us? If he grew more committed to Islam, wouldn't he have that made him more peaceful? That would make sense, according to what the West tells us. That's what Barack Hussein Obama likes to say. And if the opposite is true, if a deepening commitment to Islam made Abdul Muttalib more violent and hateful, aren't there public policy implications in that fact by those authorities, which they should stop ignoring? Plain suspect was secular when he arrived in Yemen. Here's the article. Just brief part of it. Sana'a, Yemen, January 4th. A young Nigerian man charged with trying to blow up a U.S. plane on Christmas Day was not deeply religious when he arrived in Yemen in 2004, but evolved into a devoted follower of Islam, a former teacher said. He didn't think about blowing up a plane in 2004. He wasn't a good Muslim. He became a good Muslim, and that is when he became susceptible to committing jihad in the path of Allah and killing Americans on Christmas Day. Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib, 23, stayed in Yemen for a year between 2004 and 2005 before returning for another stay from August 4th to September 21st of last year. Yemeni officials have said a teacher at the Sana'a Institute for the Arabic language who taught Abdul Muttalib during his time in Yemen said he was closer to being secular when he first arrived in the country, but during his visit last year, he was more committed to praying and to Islam, the teacher said. You can go and read the full article for yourself. It's by Reuters News. Very interesting here. What we find, just like with Nidal Maliki al-Hassan in Texas, the Fort Hood murderer in the name of Islam, these Muslims were more committed Muslims. Whenever we find these jihadists, they are more committed Muslims. As they become more and more committed, as they study the Quran more, as they pray more, as they become better and better Muslims, they become more and more likely to kill in the name of Islam, like their Prophet Muhammad did. And then actually when they get to a certain point, that's exactly what they do. Brother Hamoudi, how does this square away with what you hear Muslims in America tell us about terrorism all the time?
Well, I mean, it's like what you said last week, too, when you were talking about studying the Quran and studying the Bible, that, you know, the more and more that you look into the words in the Quran and the meaning behind those words, you know, it tends a person to want to become violent towards the infidels.
Yes, absolutely.
And, you know, the ones that are here in the United States, they're hiding behind a cloak because they're trying to blame. I mean, like, as one of the articles that I'm sure you're going to go over tonight as well, is that, you know, possibly the United States government is behind a lot of this as well. And